In a world filled with distractions, noise, and impulsive reactions, the ancient philosophy of Stoicism teaches us the power of discipline, emotional control, and inner strength. This video explores the core Stoic principles that can transform your life: mastering self-discipline, focusing only on what you can control, practicing delayed gratification, and harnessing the power of silence. By adopting these timeless habits, you can build resilience, achieve mental clarity, and live with unwavering purpose. Stay with me until the end and discover how Stoicism can help you unlock your full potential and lead a life of wisdom and strength. Number 1. The role of discipline in Stoicism. Discipline is the backbone of Stoicism, the bridge between philosophy and action. Without discipline, the wisdom of the Stoics is nothing more than empty words. The ancient Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, believed that true freedom comes not from indulging every impulse, but from mastering oneself. In a world filled with distractions, temptations, and emotional turbulence, discipline is the tool that allows us to stay grounded, focused, and in control. It is what separates those who merely read about Stoicism from those who live by its principles. At its core, Stoicism teaches that we must control what we can and accept what we cannot. But control does not come naturally. It must be cultivated through disciplined habits and a strong mindset. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, repeatedly reminded himself to wake up early, do his duty, and not be swayed by comfort or laziness. He understood that discipline was not about harsh self-punishment, but about aligning one's actions with virtue. Every morning, when we choose to rise instead of hitting snooze, when we choose exercise over lethargy, when we choose patience over anger, we are practicing Stoic discipline. One of the key aspects of Stoic discipline is emotional control. The Stoics were not emotionless robots, as some people mistakenly believe. Instead, they trained themselves to respond to life's challenges with rationality rather than impulse. When something goes wrong, a rude comment, a failed plan, an unexpected hardship, our first instinct is often to react emotionally. But discipline teaches us to pause, reflect, and respond in a way that aligns with wisdom. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that no matter what chaos the world throws at us, we have the power to remain composed and make rational decisions. Another crucial element of Stoic discipline is delayed gratification, the ability to resist short-term pleasures for long-term growth. In a society that promotes instant gratification, from social media dopamine hits to fast food indulgences, discipline is a rare and valuable trait. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort to strengthen their resilience. Seneca, a wealthy Roman philosopher, would periodically sleep on the floor, eat simple meals, and wear rough clothing to remind himself that comfort is not a necessity, but a luxury. This kind of training made them unshakable in the face of real hardship. When you practice self-discipline, whether by resisting unhealthy cravings, training your mind through reading, or staying focused on your goals despite distractions, you build inner strength. Discipline is also key in maintaining consistency, which is the true test of character. Anyone can be motivated for a day, but only the disciplined can stay committed for a lifetime. The Stoics did not rely on fleeting motivation. They built habits. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily to remind himself of his principles. Epictetus taught that philosophy should not be discussed, but lived. Seneca urged that wisdom should not be postponed, but acted upon immediately. Discipline is not about waiting for the right moment. It is about doing what is necessary even when you don't feel like it. Ultimately, the role of discipline in Stoicism is simple, yet profound. It is the force that turns philosophy into practice, knowledge into action, and ideals into reality. It is not a burden, but a pathway to true freedom. The freedom from being controlled by impulses, emotions, and external circumstances. Without discipline, we are slaves to our weaknesses. With it, we become the architects of our own lives. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are taking a step toward becoming the person you aspire to be. So ask yourself, Are you in control, or are you controlled? The answer lies in your daily choices. Number 2, control versus what you cannot control. One of the most powerful and liberating ideas in Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. This simple yet profound concept has the ability to change the way we experience life. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control things that are beyond our influence, other people's opinions, unexpected events, or the outcome of our efforts. The Stoics believed that true peace and freedom come from focusing entirely on what we can control and letting go of everything else. This is not just a philosophical idea. It is a practical tool that can transform how we handle stress, failure, relationships, and even success. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, laid out this principle clearly. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. This single sentence holds the key to emotional resilience. Imagine two people stuck in a traffic jam. One is honking, shouting, and growing more frustrated by the second, while the other sits calmly, listening to an audiobook. The traffic is the same for both, but their reactions are different. The first person is trying to control the uncontrollable, wasting energy on frustration. The second person, however, recognizes that they have no control over the traffic, but full control over their response. The result? One person is miserable, and the other remains at peace. This mindset applies to every area of life. Think about relationships. You cannot control whether someone likes you, stays loyal to you, or treats you with kindness. You can, however, control how you treat them, how you communicate, and how much you allow their actions to affect your inner peace. When you stop trying to control others and focus only on controlling your own actions, you gain an immense sense of power. Instead of chasing validation, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Instead of trying to force love, you cultivate your own virtues and let the right people be drawn to you naturally. The same principle applies to failures and setbacks. If you start a business, work hard, and still fail, you might feel frustrated. But did you truly fail? If you focused on things within your control, your effort, your learning, your perseverance, then you have already won. The outcome was never in your control, only the process. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, faced endless political struggles, betrayals, and wars. Yet in meditations, he constantly reminded himself that his duty was to act virtuously and rationally, regardless of external results. He understood that while he could not control the fate of the empire, he could control how he led it. Modern life bombards us with distractions, opinions, and events that are beyond our control. Social media amplifies this problem. People get emotionally invested in online debates, celebrity gossip, or political drama, things they have zero control over. Stoicism teaches us to step back and ask, does this concern my actions? Can I influence this directly? If the answer is no, then it does not deserve your emotional energy. This doesn't mean ignoring the world, but rather choosing where to direct your focus. Your mind is like a garden. If you let weeds of worry and distraction take over, they will drain your energy. But if you tend only to the plants within your control, your habits, your thoughts, your actions, you will grow a powerful and resilient mindset. The biggest challenge people face with this philosophy is letting go. We naturally crave control, and it can feel uncomfortable to accept that some things are simply out of our hands. But here's the paradox. The more you accept what you cannot control, the more control you actually gain. When you stop trying to control external circumstances, you free yourself to master what truly matters, yourself. The world may be chaotic, unpredictable, and often unfair, but your mind can be disciplined, calm, and unwavering. So how do you apply this in daily life? Start by constantly asking yourself, is this within my control? When facing stress, uncertainty, or disappointment, pause and reflect. If it is something you can control, act with wisdom and effort. If it is something you cannot control, let it go and shift your focus inward. This practice, repeated over time, creates an unshakable mindset. In the end, the only real power we have in life is over our own thoughts, actions, and responses. Everything else, money, reputation, circumstances, even life itself, is fleeting. The Stoics understood this and lived accordingly. They were not passive, they were proactive, focusing all their energy on what truly mattered. The question is, will you waste your time trying to control the uncontrollable, or will you take full ownership of what is within your power? The answer to that question determines whether you live as a victim of circumstances or as a master of your own. Number 3, delayed gratification and self-mastery. In a world of instant gratification, where everything from food delivery to entertainment is available at the tap of a screen, self-discipline is becoming increasingly rare. Yet, it is this very skill, delayed gratification, that separates those who live a life of fleeting pleasure from those who achieve long-term success and fulfillment. The ability to resist short-term temptations in favor of greater rewards in the future is not just a psychological trick. It is a fundamental pillar of self-mastery. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw self-control as a form of freedom, a way to rise above impulsive desires and align one's actions with higher values. The modern world tempts us at every turn. Junk food, social media, binge-watching, and mindless entertainment all promise immediate pleasure, but often leave us feeling empty afterward. Why? Because instant gratification is deceptive. It gives you a quick hit of dopamine but robs you of deeper, more lasting satisfaction. The Stoics believed that true fulfillment comes not from indulging every desire, but from mastering them. As Epictetus wisely said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And one of the greatest things beyond our control is our impulsive desires, unless we train ourselves to master them. A famous experiment in psychology, the marshmallow test, perfectly illustrates this concept. Researchers gave children a choice: eat a marshmallow immediately, or wait 15 minutes and receive 2 marshmallows. The children who were able to wait went on to have better life outcomes, higher academic achievements, better health, and greater emotional stability. Why? Because delayed gratification builds discipline, and discipline leads to success. This principle is as old as time itself. Those who sacrifice comfort today for a greater reward tomorrow are the ones who rise above the rest. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Despite having immense power, he lived a disciplined life, rejecting luxury and indulgence. He understood that the real battle was not on the battlefield but within himself, the battle against laziness, excess, and impulsiveness. He wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of self-mastery, knowing that discipline is the true key to strength, while surrendering to every desire leads to weakness. The problem with instant gratification is that it creates a cycle of dependency. The more we give in to immediate pleasure, the weaker our willpower becomes. We get stuck in short-term thinking, always seeking the next hit of dopamine instead of working toward something meaningful. Think about it. Why do so many people struggle with procrastination, bad habits, and lack of motivation? It's because they prioritize comfort over challenge, pleasure over purpose. But those who achieve greatness understand that short-term sacrifices lead to long-term success. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and philosophers all have one thing in common. They resist the easy path in favor of the harder but more rewarding road. Training yourself in delayed gratification doesn't mean you must live like a monk, denying yourself every pleasure. It means learning to control your desires rather than letting them control you. This can be practiced in small ways: resisting the urge to check your phone every 5 minutes, choosing a healthy meal over junk food, waking up early instead of hitting snooze, or reading a book instead of scrolling endlessly through social media. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your willpower, and each time you give in to impulsiveness, you weaken it. The Stoics had a practice called voluntary discomfort, where they would deliberately expose themselves to hardship to build resilience. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, would periodically sleep on the floor, eat simple food, and wear rough clothing to remind himself that he could endure discomfort. This practice wasn't about self-punishment. It was about training the mind to be stronger than fleeting desires. In the modern world, we can apply this same principle by pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones, whether through exercise, discipline in work, or resisting unnecessary indulgences. Why does this matter? Because the more control you have over yourself, the more control you have over your life. Self-mastery is the key to true freedom. Without it, you are a slave to your impulses, always chasing the next high, but never achieving real satisfaction. With it, you become unstoppable, capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. Delayed gratification teaches patience, resilience, and focus, qualities that lead to success in every area of life. The real question is, are you willing to trade a moment of pleasure for a lifetime of achievement? Those who answer yes understand what the Stoics have taught for centuries, that true happiness does not come from indulgence but from self-control. And in mastering yourself, you master the world. Number 4. Daily routines and habits of Stoic thinkers. The secret to an extraordinary life is hidden in the ordinary things we do every day. Our habits and routines shape our character, and our character determines our destiny. The Stoics understood this truth deeply. They knew that greatness wasn't achieved through grand gestures or rare moments of inspiration, but through disciplined, intentional, daily practices. For them, a life well lived was built on structure, self-reflection, and the relentless pursuit of virtue. They didn't leave their personal growth to chance. They made it a daily commitment. Imagine waking up each morning with a clear sense of purpose, free from distraction, and ready to take on whatever life throws at you. This is how the great Stoic thinkers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, approached each day. They didn't waste their time in aimless activities. They followed carefully cultivated routines that strengthened their minds, disciplined their emotions, and prepared them for the unpredictable nature of life. Morning reflection. Starting the day with purpose. How you begin your day determines how you live your day. The Stoics didn't start their mornings by grabbing their phones or scrolling through distractions. Instead, they engaged in deep self-reflection, preparing their minds for the challenges ahead. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, would begin each morning by reminding himself of the obstacles he might face. In Meditations, he wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But I have seen the beauty of good, and I know that the wrongdoer has a nature akin to my own, not of the same blood and birth, but of the same mind." This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, allowed Stoics to prepare mentally for hardships. Instead of being caught off guard by negativity, they expected it and trained themselves to respond with patience, wisdom, and inner strength. You too can incorporate this practice into your daily routine. Before stepping out into the world, take a few moments to visualize potential difficulties and mentally prepare yourself to handle them with grace and composure. Practicing voluntary discomfort, strengthening the mind and body. In a world obsessed with comfort, the Stoics intentionally embraced discomfort. They believed that by voluntarily exposing themselves to hardship, they could strengthen their resilience and reduce their dependence on external pleasures. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, practiced this by occasionally sleeping on the floor, wearing simple clothing, and eating basic meals to remind himself that he could endure hardship. Why does this matter? Because when you train yourself to be comfortable with discomfort, life's unexpected challenges no longer shake you. By incorporating small acts of discomfort into your daily routine, such as cold showers, fasting, or pushing yourself in a difficult workout, you build mental toughness, self-discipline, and an unshakable inner strength. Journaling. A daily practice of self-improvement. Writing is thinking made visible. The Stoics understood the power of journaling long before it became a popular self-improvement trend. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was essentially a personal journal, never meant to be published. Yet it has stood the test of time as one of the greatest works of philosophy. Stoic thinkers used journaling to reflect on their thoughts, assess their actions, and hold themselves accountable. They would ask questions like, did I act in accordance with my values today? What emotions controlled me, and how did I respond? Where can I improve tomorrow? By making journaling a daily habit, you create a space for self-awareness and growth. It allows you to track your progress, identify weaknesses, and cultivate wisdom. Even just a few minutes of writing each night can help you develop clarity and control over your thoughts and actions. The power of saying no, prioritizing what matters. Stoics were not people pleasers. They didn't waste their energy on distractions or meaningless pursuits. They were highly selective about how they spent their time, focusing only on what was truly important. Seneca famously warned about the dangers of wasted time. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with notifications, social media, and endless entertainment. But if you want to live a disciplined and fulfilling life, you must master the art of saying no. The Stoics remind us that we should not let external distractions control us. Instead, we should guard our time fiercely and invest it only in things that bring us closer to our purpose. Ending the day with reflection. Just as the Stoics started their day with intention, they also ended it with reflection. Before going to sleep, they would review their actions and assess their progress. The philosopher Epictetus encouraged his students to ask themselves, what did I do well today? Where did I fail? And how can I improve? Did I live according to my principles? This practice is incredibly powerful because it forces you to be honest with yourself. It prevents complacency and keeps you accountable for your growth. By adopting this habit, you create a cycle of continuous improvement, ensuring that each day is better than the last. Final thoughts. Small habits, big impact. The wisdom of the Stoics wasn't just theoretical, it was practical. They understood that real change comes from daily discipline, not occasional inspiration. Their routines weren't complicated or extreme. They were simple, intentional, and deeply effective. By incorporating these habits, morning reflection, voluntary discomfort, journaling, prioritization, and evening self-assessment, you can cultivate the mindset of a Stoic thinker. Your habits define you. The small choices you make every day shape the person you become. If you choose discipline over distraction, wisdom over impulsiveness, and self-mastery over indulgence, you will unlock a level of strength and clarity that few ever achieve. The Stoics proved that a well-lived life is not built on luck or external circumstances, but on consistent, disciplined action. The question is, are you willing to take control of your days and shape your destiny? The path to mastery begins with a single step repeated daily. Number 6, emotional control and rational thinking. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain pours, and chaos surrounds you. Most people would panic, scream, or run in fear. But a Stoic? A Stoic would stand firm, unaffected by the raging storm, because they know one thing. The storm is external, but their mind is internal. And what happens internally is always within their control. This is the essence of emotional control in Stoicism. Life will throw difficulties at you: betrayal, loss, frustration, failure. People will insult you, circumstances will test you, and emotions will rise like waves in a turbulent sea. But a disciplined mind does not react impulsively. It does not allow emotions to dictate actions. Instead, it uses rational thinking to respond wisely, calmly, and effectively. The power of perception, reality versus emotion. The Stoics understood a profound truth. Events don't disturb us. Our perception of them does. It is not the insult that offends you, but your decision to be offended. It is not failure that destroys you, but your belief that failure defines you. If you can change your perception, you can change your emotional response. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about this. Two people can experience the same setback, but one falls apart while the other remains unshaken. Why? Because one is ruled by emotion, and the other by reason. Stoics train themselves to step back and analyze situations logically rather than emotionally. The next time something frustrates or upsets you, pause. Ask yourself, is my reaction helping or harming me? Is this emotion justified, or am I exaggerating it? If someone else were in my shoes, how would I advise them? By shifting your focus from emotional reaction to rational analysis, you gain control over how you experience life. The pause. Before reaction. Mastering the gap between stimulus and response, there is a gap, a brief moment where you decide how to act. Most people react instantly, driven by impulse. Someone insults them, and they snap back. They get bad news, and they spiral into despair. But Stoics master this gap. They train themselves to pause, reflect, and choose the best response. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A Stoic does not allow emotions to hijack their mind. They recognize that anger, fear, and sadness are natural feelings. But just because they arise does not mean they should be obeyed. Instead of reacting impulsively, they take a breath, observe their emotions, and act with intention. You can practice this in daily life. The next time you feel a surge of anger or frustration, pause. Take a deep breath. Count to 5. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? What is the wisest way to respond? Am I acting out of emotion or reason? By practicing this, you will find that many things that once triggered you no longer have power over you. Detachment from emotion. Becoming an observer. One of the most powerful Stoic techniques is viewing yourself from an outside perspective. Instead of drowning in emotion, detach from it. Imagine you are an outsider watching yourself. How would a wise, rational person handle this situation? Seneca advised, "You must take control of yourself. Separate yourself from your emotions as a doctor does from his patient." When you step back and observe your emotions rather than being consumed by them, they lose their grip on you. You start to see them as passing clouds, not permanent states. This practice allows you to remain level-headed even in the most difficult moments. Accepting what you cannot control. Much of our emotional distress comes from fighting things beyond our control. We get frustrated when people don't act the way we want. We feel anxious about things we cannot change. But Stoics understood that this is wasted energy. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." A Stoic focuses only on what is within their control, their thoughts, actions, and responses. Everything else, other people's opinions, past mistakes, unexpected obstacles, are external. And if it is external, it does not deserve your emotional energy. When you find yourself stressed or upset, ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, why am I letting it affect me? What is the best action I can take in this moment? By applying this mindset, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering and regain control over your emotions. Training the mind. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. It is about replacing irrational emotions with rational thinking. When fear arises, Stoics replace it with preparation. When anger arises, they replace it with understanding. When sadness arises, they replace it with gratitude. This requires constant training. The mind, like a muscle, must be exercised daily. Stoics did this through journaling, meditation, and reflection. They consistently questioned their thoughts, challenged their emotions, and reinforced rational thinking. Try this exercise. Each night, review your day. Where did emotions control you? How could you have responded better? Each morning, prepare yourself. What challenges might arise today, and how will you respond? Throughout the day, remind yourself, I am in control of my mind, not my emotions. Final thoughts. The unshakable mind. Imagine a life where external events no longer dictate your emotions, where insults, failures, and setbacks don't control you, where you remain calm under pressure, wise in your decisions, and strong in adversity. This is the power of emotional control and rational thinking. The Stoics proved that no matter what happens, your mind is always yours to command. You are not a slave to anger, fear, or sadness. You have the power to observe, analyze, and choose your response. True strength is not in reacting but in restraining, not in being fearless but in mastering fear, not in suppressing emotions, but in transforming them into wisdom. So the next time life throws a storm your way, don't be shaken. Be like a Stoic. Stand firm, think clearly, and respond with the strength of a disciplined mind. Number 6. Practicing voluntary discomfort. In a world obsessed with comfort, luxury, and convenience, the idea of deliberately choosing discomfort seems absurd. Why would anyone willingly make life harder for themselves when modern society offers endless ways to make things easier? Because, as the Stoics understood, comfort breeds weakness, while discomfort forges strength. Practicing voluntary discomfort is not about suffering for suffering's sake. It's about training yourself to remain calm, disciplined, and unshaken when real hardships arise. It's about strengthening your willpower, sharpening your mind, and mastering your desires so that external circumstances no longer control you. A person who is accustomed to comfort will crumble at the first sign of adversity, but one who is trained in discomfort will stand strong when life becomes difficult. Why voluntary discomfort? Builds mental fortitude. Life is unpredictable. One day everything is going well, and the next you could lose your job, face financial struggles, or experience emotional pain. Most people panic when hardship strikes because they have never trained themselves to handle difficulty. The Stoics, however, prepared for hard times before they arrived. They believed that by regularly practicing voluntary discomfort, they could toughen their minds and reduce their dependence on external luxuries. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, would occasionally live as a poor man, eating the simplest food and wearing the roughest clothes, even though he was wealthy. He did this not because he had to, but because he wanted to prove to himself that he could endure hardship if necessary. By experiencing discomfort voluntarily, he removed the fear of poverty and hardship, making himself mentally resilient. Ask yourself, if you lost everything tomorrow, could you handle it? Are you mentally prepared to go without the comforts you take for granted? Can you endure difficulty without breaking down emotionally? By practicing voluntary discomfort, you train yourself to handle life's toughest challenges without fear or panic. Small acts of discomfort. Training for life's challenges. Practicing voluntary discomfort doesn't mean you have to live in misery. It simply means intentionally introducing small challenges into your daily routine to build resilience. Here are a few ways to do this. Cold showers. Instead of always bathing in warm water, take cold showers. It will make you uncomfortable at first, but over time you'll learn to handle discomfort with a calm mind. This is a simple yet powerful way to build mental discipline. Fasting. Skip a meal or go a full day without eating. Fasting teaches you that hunger is not an emergency. It's simply a feeling that comes and goes. When you learn to control your appetite, you gain power over your impulses. Sleeping on the floor. Instead of always sleeping in a soft, warm bed, try sleeping on the floor occasionally. It will make you appreciate what you have and remind you that you can endure discomfort when needed. Minimalism. Give up luxuries for a short time. Wear the same clothes for a week. Stop using social media, or avoid unnecessary entertainment. By reducing your dependence on material things, you prove to yourself that happiness doesn't come from external comforts. Physical challenges. Push your body beyond its comfort zone. Run when you don't feel like it. Lift heavier weights. Walk long distances. By challenging yourself physically, you build mental endurance. Each of these small challenges strengthens your ability to handle discomfort. When you train yourself to endure minor difficulties voluntarily, you'll be better prepared for the real challenges life throws at you. Overcoming the fear of hardship. Most people fear hardship because they've never experienced it in a controlled way. They're terrified of losing their job, their money, their home, because they have never tested themselves without these things. But a Stoic knows that true strength comes from within, not from external security. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of history's greatest philosophers, understood this well. He taught that people should embrace hardship as an opportunity to grow. Instead of fearing difficulty, welcome it. View it as a test of your strength, a chance to develop resilience. If you practice going without luxuries for short periods, you'll realize something powerful. You don't need as much as you think. You don't need to be constantly comfortable to be happy. You don't need every luxury to survive. When you stop fearing discomfort, you become truly free. The psychological shift, embracing discomfort as growth. Most people seek comfort because they associate discomfort with suffering. But what if you flipped this mindset? What if you started seeing discomfort as growth? When you're tired but still push through your workout, you build mental toughness. When you resist the urge to indulge in unhealthy habits, you develop self-control. When you force yourself to face fears instead of avoiding them, you become stronger. Instead of viewing discomfort as something to avoid, embrace it as a tool for growth. The more you challenge yourself, the more resilient you become. Freedom through hardship. Becoming unbreakable. One of the greatest benefits of practicing voluntary discomfort is that it makes you unbreakable. When you no longer fear hunger, fatigue, rejection, or failure, you become unstoppable. You develop a deep inner strength that allows you to face any situation with confidence. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, ruled during times of war, plague, and political chaos. Yet he remained calm and rational, never letting hardship break him. His secret? He trained his mind daily to handle discomfort. He reminded himself that nothing in life is permanent. Not pleasure, not pain, not even life itself. When you embrace this mindset, you become truly free. You no longer live in fear of losing comfort because you have trained yourself to thrive in discomfort. You realize that real strength isn't found in luxury. It's found in your ability to endure, adapt, and overcome. Final thoughts. Turning discomfort into strength. Practicing voluntary discomfort is one of the most powerful ways to build resilience, discipline, and inner peace. It teaches you that hardship is not to be feared, but embraced. It shows you that you can endure far more than you think. So take a cold shower, skip a meal, walk in the rain without an umbrella. Push yourself beyond your comfort zone, not because you have to, but because doing so will make you stronger. Because when the real storms of life come, and they will, you will not panic. You will not break. You will stand firm, unshaken, because you have already trained for the battle ahead. And that is what makes a Stoic truly powerful. Number 7, the power of silence and inner strength. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a rare and undervalued virtue. Society pushes us to constantly express ourselves, whether through social media, debates, or casual conversation. People feel the need to voice their opinions, prove their intelligence, and react to everything. But what if the real strength lies not in speaking, but in knowing when to remain silent? Silence is a weapon. It is a shield. It is a source of power that only the wise truly understand. The Stoics, some of history's greatest thinkers, embraced silence as a pathway to inner strength, self-control, and wisdom. They knew that the ability to restrain one's tongue was a sign of discipline, and that true power did not come from loud words, but from quiet confidence. Mastering the power of silence is not about suppressing your voice. It's about knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the talking. It's about gaining control over your mind, your emotions, and your reactions. A person who can remain silent in moments of chaos, anger, or temptation is a person who holds true inner strength. Silence as a tool for self-control. One of the greatest challenges in life is controlling one's emotions. Anger, frustration, and impatience can lead us to say things we regret. Most conflicts in life, whether in relationships, business, or personal interactions, are fueled not by actions but by words spoken in the heat of the moment. Imagine this: someone insults you. Your instinct is to respond, to defend yourself, to fire back with an even sharper insult. But what if instead you remained silent? What if you refused to give them the reaction they wanted? That is power. Silence removes fuel from the fire. It prevents you from being emotionally manipulated. It forces others to reconsider their words and actions. Instead of reacting impulsively, a person who masters silence responds only when necessary, calmly, rationally, and with purpose. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, taught that we should be slow to speak and quick to listen. He understood that those who speak without thinking often reveal their weaknesses, while those who listen more than they talk gain true understanding. Ask yourself, do you speak just to fill the silence, or do you speak with intent? How often do you regret words said in anger or haste? Can you sit in silence without feeling the need to prove yourself? When you control your tongue, you control your destiny. The hidden strength in listening. Most people listen to respond. Few listen to understand. There is a massive difference between the two. The Stoics valued listening as a way to gain knowledge, wisdom, and insight. Instead of rushing to share their thoughts, they absorbed information, analyzed it, and responded only when necessary. This gave them an advantage over those who spoke without thinking. A leader who listens more than they speak earns the respect of their followers. A negotiator who remains silent while others talk learns the weaknesses of their opponents. A person who listens attentively builds stronger, more meaningful relationships. When you develop the habit of listening deeply, people will naturally be drawn to you. They will respect you because your words, when spoken, will carry weight. Silence makes your voice more powerful because it shows that you only speak when it truly matters. Silence as a path to inner peace. The world is noisy, literally and metaphorically. People are constantly seeking distractions, filling every quiet moment with entertainment, social media, and endless chatter. They fear silence because it forces them to face themselves. But the Stoics knew that true wisdom comes from moments of solitude. They intentionally practiced silence to connect with their thoughts, reflect on their actions, and develop mental clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, often wrote in his private journal during moments of silence. He used these quiet moments to analyze his life, question his decisions, and strengthen his mind. He understood that without moments of stillness, one cannot truly grow. Silence is not just about external quiet, it's about internal stillness. It's about learning to be comfortable with your own thoughts, without the need for distractions. Try this. Spend 10 minutes in complete silence every morning. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. Go on a walk without headphones, allowing yourself to observe the world around you. Practice pausing before responding in conversations. Let your words be intentional, not reactive. Over time, you will notice a shift. Your mind will become clearer. Your emotions will become more controlled. You will no longer feel the need to prove yourself through excessive words. The strategic use of silence in power and influence. History's greatest leaders and strategists understood the power of silence. They used it as a tool to maintain control, to observe their enemies, and to influence those around them. Julius Caesar was known for remaining silent during tense negotiations, forcing his opponents to speak first and reveal their intentions. Leonardo da Vinci once said, "Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence." Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, emphasized the importance of withholding information and using silence as a weapon in battle. When you speak too much, you reveal your thoughts, emotions, and plans. But when you stay silent, others are left guessing. They wonder what you're thinking. They become unsure of themselves. Silence, when used strategically, is a form of power. This does not mean you should always be silent, but it means you should be mindful of when and how you use your words. A person who speaks only when necessary commands far more respect than one who talks endlessly. Becoming comfortable with silence. Many people struggle with silence because they equate it with awkwardness. They rush to fill quiet moments in conversation, fearing discomfort. But the ability to sit in silence, without anxiety, without the need to entertain or be entertained, is a sign of true confidence. Start practicing this today. The next time there is a pause in a conversation, embrace it. Do not rush to fill the gap. The next time someone insults you, remain silent. Watch how they react when they don't get the response they expected. The next time you feel the urge to speak impulsively, pause. Ask yourself if your words are necessary. Silence forces people to respect you. It makes you unpredictable. It strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and gives you control over your emotions. Final thoughts. The strength found in silence. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the strongest person is often the one who chooses to remain silent. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand the power of restraint. The Stoics knew that true wisdom comes not from talking, but from listening. Not from reacting, but from reflecting. Not from shouting, but from mastering silence. So embrace silence. Let your words be few but meaningful. Let your mind be still amidst the noise of the world. And in doing so, you will discover a strength greater than any spoken word, the unshakable power of inner peace. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss how we can all live more stoically. If you found value in this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more wisdom, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Stay wise, stay focused, and remember, sometimes the greatest strength is in what you keep to yourself.